Welcome to Sexual Harassment Prevention in the Tipped Wage Industry. First, a disclaimer, this is not legal advice. This information is for educational purposes only. What is the Office of Human Rights? It is one of the nation's most progressive civil rights laws. It has 23 protected traits. OHR's mission is to eradicate discrimination, increase equal opportunity, protect civil rights for persons who live, work, or visit the District of Columbia. We enforce the DCHRA in addition to other local and federal laws and statutes. Our jurisdiction. In DC, you are protected against discrimination, including DC government, private sector, including nonprofits, corporations, contractors, and it excludes federal government, metro, and District of Columbia courts. What are the 4 areas of enforcement? Educational institutions, employment, housing, public accommodation, and/or government services. There are differences between federal and district laws that protect against discrimination. Federal laws protect age, color, disability, genetic information, national origin, race, religion, sex, include sexual orientation, gender expression, and identity. DCHRA protects the 23 protected traits. Most Comprehensive Civil Rights Act protects against discrimination in 4 areas of enforcement. Protected traits in the DCHRA fact sheet. You can click this link and it will give you more detailed facts about all the protected traits, the 23 protected traits. What are the 23 protected traits? There are 23 protected traits total. Not all of them apply to each enforcement area. Each enforcement area has the same first 14, however the rest may vary. The 14 protected traits for all 4 areas include age, color, disability, family responsibilities, gender identity or expression, homeless status, marital status, national origin, personal appearance, political affiliation, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation. The 9 protected traits that vary include credit information, familial status, genetic information, matriculation, place of residence or business, sealed eviction records, source of income, status as a victim of an intrafamily offense, and status as a victim or family member of a victim of domestic violence, a sexual offense, or stalking. Okay, so the 2 additional traits that vary for educational institutions include familial status and source of income. The 4 additional traits that vary for employment include credit information, genetic information, matriculation, status as a victim or family member of a victim of domestic violence and sexual offense or stalking. 6 additional protected traits for housing include familial status, matriculation, place of residence or business, source of income, sealed eviction record, status as a victim of a intrafamily offense. The 5 additional protected traits for public accommodations and government services include familial status, genetic information, matriculation, place of residence or business, source of income. Alrighty, what have we learned so far? What is the mission of OHR? To eradicate discrimination, to increase equal opportunity, to protect human rights or individuals who live, work, and visit DC, or all of the above? It's all of the above. Question 2. What are the 4 areas of enforcement? Employment, housing, public accommodations and government services, educational institutions. B, Smithsonian museums, DC monuments, housing, employment. C, DC Metro, housing, public accommodations and government services, educational institutions. Or D, all of the above. It is A, employment, housing, public accommodations and government services and educational institutions. Alrighty, what have we learned so far? What is a difference between federal law and the DCHRA? The national law has more protected traits than the DCHRA. The DCHRA is only applicable to DC. The DCHRA has more protected traits than the national law. It is B and C. The DCHRA is only applicable to in DC. The DCHRA has more protected traits than the national law. Question 4. Which of the following traits are protected under the DCHRA? Personal appearance, sex, source of income, or all of the above? Answer is D, all of the above. Who is considered a tipped wage worker? A tipped wage worker under the TWWFAA is an employee who earns minimum wage through both tips and employer-paid hourly wage. As of January 2023, employers with tipped wage workers are required to pay tipped wage workers the hourly minimum wage of $5.35 an hour plus tips to total an overall minimum wage of $16.10 an hour. As of July 1st, 2023, employers with tipped wage workers are required to pay tipped wage workers an hourly minimum wage of $8 an hour plus tips to total an overall minimum wage of $17 an hour. What is harassment? Harassment under the DCHRA is conduct, whether direct or indirect, verbal or nonverbal, that unreasonably alters an individual's terms, conditions, or privileges of employment, or has the purpose or effect of creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Additionally, the DCHRA indicates that harassment based on one or more protected traits of the 18 protected traits applicable to employment is a discriminatory practice. When is harassment illegal? In determining whether conduct constitutes illegal harassment, a fact finder must consider the totality of the circumstances, including the frequency, duration, and location of the conduct, whether the conduct included threats, slurs, epithets, stereotypes, or humiliating or degrading conduct, position of formal authority or informal power held by the involved parties. When is harassment illegal? Continued. Under DCHRA, conduct may still constitute unlawful harassment regardless of whether the conduct took place in one single incident, the conduct was directed toward a person other than the complainant submitted or participated in the conduct, the complainant was able to fulfill their work responsibilities despite the conduct did not cause tangible physical or sociological injury, conduct took place outside of the workplace, the conduct was not overly directed towards a protected trait. Case scenario 1. Mary walks into her manager's office to drop off some paperwork. Her manager yells, "Damn you, Mary, you are late again." Could this be considered harassment? Is this harassment? Isolated incidents such as the one displayed by Mary's manager may or may not amount to harassment, depending on the totality of the circumstances. This incident is also not seemingly based on a protected trait. However, a workplace culture that allows yelling may end up evolving into a workplace that is abusive and lead to harassing behaviors. So basically, this is not harassment, but you are getting close to causing a situation that would cause harassment. What is sexual harassment? Harassment of a sexual nature. It is a form of sex-based discrimination. Under the DCHRA, sexual harassment includes sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, other conduct of a sexual nature where submission to the conduct is made implicitly or explicitly a term or condition of employment, or where submission to or rejection of the conduct is used as the basis for an employment decision affecting the individual's employment. Examples of conduct of a sexual nature: Sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, unwelcome touching, jokes or questions of a sexual nature, catcalling, shouting or making sexual remarks to someone passing by, sharing, watching, or displaying sexually explicit pictures or videos, sending messages that are sexually suggestive, inappropriate remarks about somebody's body or clothing, making sexual gestures, whistling. This list is not exhaustive. There can be other behaviors besides the ones listed here. Examples of conduct of a sexual nature continued. Inappropriate remarks about someone's sexual orientation. Inappropriate remarks about someone's gender identity or expression. Sex and gender stereotyping. Talking about your own or someone else's sex life. The conduct does not need to be motivated by sexual desire. Is this sexual harassment? Tessa's kitchen colleagues are making jokes regarding her clothing and the way she looks in a sexual nature. The conduct is unwelcome. While Tessa does not directly tell her colleagues to stop the comments, not reacting or engaging can be her way of rejecting the conduct. Other coworkers may be bothered by the compliments even if it is not directed at them. This could be considered harassment. Who could be a potential harasser? Who? Any sex or gender identity, supervisors of the employee, supervisors of another area, coworkers, customers, someone who is not an employer, for example, a vendor, provider, consultant. Activity. Is this statement true or false? Sexual harassment in the workplace can only happen while you are at the worksite. This is false. Where? Sexual harassment can occur at work or outside the workplace, including, but not limited to, suggestive messages, texting, calls, emails, social media posts to those you interact with because of work, even if they are outside of work hours. Interactions in work-related events. Trainings, conferences, work parties. Where continued. The following may also become harassment related to work or workplace if, after hours, when the unwanted conduct occurs, the employee notifies the employer regarding the incident and the employer fails to take any action. Note, sexual harassment can happen outside of the workplace and during off-work hours because of the ongoing work relationship between individuals, and the employer may also be responsible if the harasser is a supervisor. Types of sexual harassment. While sexual harassment can take many forms, the two most common types are quid pro quo and hostile environment. Quid pro quo, this for that. Generally, quid pro quo is sexual advances, favors, and conduct are either directly or indirectly made a condition of an individual's employment, work hours, job responsibilities, dress code. Accepting or refusing any sexual conduct could affect employment decisions, promoting or firing. Hostile environment. Generally, hostile environment creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. It is conduct that unreasonably interferes with an individual's work performance, is behavior that is unwelcomed. Case scenario 6. Anita is a waiter at a restaurant and needs to work more hours because she recently enrolled in school and needs more money to cover her tuition. She talks to her manager, Paul, about it, and he replies that he will approve her request if she goes out on a date with him. Is Paul's behavior a problem? Explain why or why not. If it is a problem, which type of harassment could it be? Quid pro quo or hostile environment? Paul is making advances on Anita and making her submission or refusal of the date a condition as to whether he will give her more work hours or not. Paul's behavior may constitute quid pro quo sexual harassment. Because Paul is Anita's supervisor and is in a position of power, Anita may feel like she has no choice but to say yes to Paul. Retaliation. The DCHRA prohibits retaliation against any person who engages in a protected activity. Retaliation occurs when an employer treats someone less favorably because the individual has engaged in a protected activity. What does it mean to treat someone less favorably? Salary reduction, cutting work hours, job termination, denial of a raise or promotion, job reassignment, poor performance review, micromanagement, switching employee to a shift that employer knows is inconvenient for the employee, and not honoring requests for time off. What is a protected activity? Asserting your rights to be free from employment discrimination, including harassment. What does this look like in the workplace? Reporting acts of discrimination, taking part in a discrimination investigation or lawsuit, for example, being a witness. Do something to oppose discrimination, for example, threatening to file a charge or complaint of discrimination. The DC Human Rights Act protects employees even when the discrimination does not take the form of a lawsuit. It can be an informal complaint to their supervisors or to an enforcement agency. Who can be a target of retaliation? The employee who is being subjected to retaliatory actions, job applicants, other employees or former employees, people closely associated with these individuals. Some tips if you are a target of retaliation. Remember, for an action to be considered retaliatory, there must be a connection between the action and the employment decision affecting you. Seek advice and support. The resources will be shared later on. After reporting harassment or discrimination, if you notice a change in how you are treated, keep track of every incident that you believe is retaliatory against you and the dates when they happened. Check with your supervisor about why a decision was made regarding your employment. What to do if sexual harassment happens in your workplace. Address it directly with the individual. Create a distraction from the situation and delay action. Delegate to someone else. Document, report, communicate, and organize. And seek advice. Address it directly with the individual. If you are the target, assess for safety. Tell the person harassing you that their behavior makes you uncomfortable and you would like them to stop. Use a calm but firm and assertive tone. If you observe, assess for safety. Interrupt the situation by calling it out directly. Use a calm but firm, assertive tone. Create a distraction from the situation and delay action. If you are the target, if possible, remove yourself from the area where the harassment is taking place. Examples: a customer is displaying harassing behavior towards you. Tell them you will be right back and ask your manager to switch you to a different dining section. A coworker's behavior is making you uncomfortable. Try to change topics or redirect attention. You should still report the incident after the fact so it can be addressed. If you observe, interrupt the situation by creating a distraction. Example: a customer is displaying harassing behavior towards a waiter. A coworker can step in and say, "Hey you, the boss is looking for you," or "You are needed in the kitchen." Your manager displayed harassing behavior towards your coworker. Check in with your coworker afterwards to see if there's anything you can do to support them. Check in with your coworker afterwards and talk about reporting the incident. Delegate to someone else. If you observe an incident, get assistance from someone else to address the situation. For example, a manager or a shift supervisor. Example: a vendor is making sexist remarks to a coworker. The bystander coworker tells their supervisor so they can address it. Document. If you are the target, keep track of the date, time, location, take screenshots of any sexual harassment episode and of who else was present. Keep copies of your performance evaluations if available. If you talk to someone about the episode, keep record of who you talked to. If you observe, record, document any harassing behavior observed in the workplace. Share it with the targeted coworker and ask if it would be okay with them if you report it. Example. After an event took place, remember to record time, dates, description of observed, recorded, or reported behaviors. Keep copies of your performance evaluations if possible. Check with other bystanders who may have more documentation to share it with your coworker, management, or HR. Seek advice and support. If you are the target, talk about the situation with other coworkers that you trust. This could also be helpful for other coworkers who may be going through the same situation. Organize with coworkers that you have identified to possibly take action as a group. Make sure you are familiar with your workplace sexual harassment policy and OHR reporting procedures. Make sure you take care of your mental and physical health in moments of stress to better manage situations like sexual harassment. If your coworker is the target and comes to you, thank them for trusting you and that you will keep it confidential. Encourage them to report. Follow up and offer support. Make sure you are familiar with the workplace sexual harassment policy and OHR reporting procedures. Exercise self-care. If you are not comfortable talking about this, or this may be triggering to you, kindly tell your coworker that you prefer to stay out of the situation. Share resources if possible. Reporting the incident. If you are the target or observe sexual harassment in the workplace, here are some recommendations on reporting. Review your work's sexual harassment policy to see steps to follow. If no policy is in the place yet, talk to your immediate supervisor or contact OHR. Talk to HR or another person in the chain of command. Document throughout. Reporting to your employer or HR representative will strengthen any legal claim, including if there is retaliation after your report. Reporting the incident. Other options. File a discrimination complaint to OHR. File a complaint with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, would probably be referred to OHR. Contact independent resources such as an employment hotline, nonprofit organizations that support with workplace harassment reporting, community-based organizations providing free legal advice. File a lawsuit in DC courts. Contact your union if you are part of one. Reporting to the DC Office of Human Rights. The complaint must be filed with OHR within 1 year from the date the alleged act of discrimination took place. No need to be DC resident, but the discrimination must have taken place in the District of Columbia. How to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. Everyone in the workplace plays a key role in preventing sexual harassment in the workplace. Here are some recommendations. Be aware and in compliance with your workplace policies, including sexual harassment policy. Employers' first duty is to make sure their employees know their rights, rules, and responsibilities. Inquiries and concerns can be submitted anonymously to OHR's email. The email is tipsdc@dc.gov. That is tipsdc@dc.gov. Develop, distribute, and make visible your business sexual harassment policy. Remember, the policy must outline how employees can report instances of sexual harassment to management and to the Office of Human Rights. Ideally, the policy should be developed and discussed with the staff and managers. Make sure that the policy is placed in a conspicuous place, accessible and visible to all staff, including those with disabilities. Make it available in languages spoken by the staff. Include a point of contact with an email and telephone number. Inquiries and concerns can be submitted to OHR's email. Cultivate a workplace culture that is respectful and free of discrimination. Maintain a friendly but professional attitude at work. Be mindful about physical contact. Some establishments have a tap on the shoulder as a safe area to make others aware that you are coming through, or just avoid bumping into each other. Don't make comments, jokes, or tell stories that may be offensive or discriminatory. Remember the 23 protected traits. Set boundaries. If someone makes an offensive joke, don't laugh or respond with a similar joke. Educate them. Be aware of your body language. Don't send mixed signals to your coworkers, and if they did at any time, no means no. If you behave in a way that is inappropriate, apologize and make sure that it does not happen again. Have resources and information handy in case you need to use or share with your coworkers, staff, or managers. Managers must also provide diverse and flexible alternatives to report sexual harassment, such as an employee hotline, an anonymous employee box, a third-party reporting service, OHR's email for tipped workers. Provide access to regular training related to harassment prevention, retaliation, bystander intervention, cross-cultural communication, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Implement a safer space campaign so that the community knows you are a great business to go to. Ask your staff. Promote a trustworthy mechanism that encourages reporting and having sensitive conversations continued. Implement a zero-tolerance policy for patrons. Convey either directly or indirectly that sexual harassment towards employees will not be tolerated. May want to implement internal color code system categorizing potential harassing behaviors and responsibilities. Post signs indicating to customers and visitors that the business is a harassment-free area and that harassment will not be tolerated. Set goals to achieve equitable hiring and promotion practices. Reward best behaviors, respect, and other positive traits among your staff. Case scenario 8. Ashley is a busser at a restaurant and she has been servicing a table of 4 and starts cleaning. As the customer gets ready to leave, one of them slaps her on the buttocks. Ashley is shocked at this and freezes up, not knowing what to do. What would you do if you were Ashley? If you were her coworker and witnessed this incident, what would you do if you were Ashley's manager and witnessed the incident? Ashley can tell the customer directly to stop the behavior, although she may want to avoid having a confrontation with the customer. She can ask a coworker to switch tables and go to a safer space. She should talk to her supervisor and tell them what happened. Case scenario 8 discussion continued. Ashley's coworker can be an effective bystander by stepping in and telling Ashley that she is needed in the kitchen and take over her cleaning the table until customers are gone. Inform their direct supervisor regarding the situation so he can address it. This is delegating. Taking notes of what happened, including time and date, and share the information with Ashley. This is documenting. Coworkers should check in with Ashley after the fact to make sure she is okay and encourage her to talk to a supervisor. This is delay. And telling the customer that this type of behavior is not tolerated at the restaurant and that they are welcome to come back as long as they are respectful to the staff. This is directing. Continued. She as manager can effectively intervene by telling the customer that this type of behavior is not tolerated at the restaurant and that they are not welcome to come back. Ask the staff if they would like to call the police and make an assault report. Informing security and ask someone to call the police while they address the situation. Stepping in and telling Ashia to move to another section of the business and ask any coworker to go with her. Taking notes of what happened, including time and date, and separating Ashia from the event by checking in on her later. Thank you for listening to the Sexual Harassment Prevention. You can call or email me at any time with questions or concerns.